The White House press corps getting a taste of what life might be like now under the new Trump administration. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer surprising reporters last night, holding an unannounced news conference before President Trump signed his first executive order. Joining me now, Howard Kurtz, Fox News media analyst and host of MediaBuzz. Good to see you, Howard.
Hey, Shannon.
All right, so it's a new game in town now. There's a new man in charge, and his press secretary is doing his own thing. It's a new way.
It's a little bit of shadow boxing. The real fisticuffs start on Monday. So there was some grousing among the press corps that Sean Spicer wasn't keeping the press fully informed about how many and which executive orders President Trump might sign. I would say, look, the president was reviewing the parade and going to the balls, probably not in constant contact. On the other side, Sean taking a couple of shots at White House reporters. I think we'll see a lot more of that the first full week.
Yeah, and this little dust-up that happened last night, apparently there was a pool report that had gone out saying or suggesting that the bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had been removed from the White House. That turned out not to be true. So Zeke Miller ends up apologizing via Twitter saying, tweeting again, White House aide confirms the MLK bust is still there. I looked for it in the Oval 2 times and didn't see it. My apologies to my colleagues. So very nice public apology. Then the tweet from Sean Spicer saying, thanks to White House Chief of Staff for this wonderful picture of the MLK bust in the Oval. In parentheses, you know, you can read underneath the lines there of what he's saying.
Well, get the facts first, tweet second. But, you know, and of course, social media explodes. Fake news, fake news. It was a mistake. It was a small mistake. Maybe some people thought it fit a narrative that Trump wouldn't want the MLK bus there. But, you know, once we get underway here where actual policies are being pushed by this new president, we're going to see a lot more of this because, after all, I mean, Sean Spicer knows how to handle himself with the press. He works for a guy who pretty famously has gone after the, quote, dishonest press, the, quote, corrupt press. Now, President Trump did cut the press a break a few days ago by saying he's not going to move them out of the press room. Dingy though it is, it's well located. Washington Real Estate Matters, as you can see behind us. So the journalists are happy about that.
Well, and so, in speaking of the quarters that the press corps has over there, they are dingy. For people who've ever seen the real thing, you're in a basement. It's very tight. You're all on top of each other. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's a vending machine. That's about it. If you don't pack your own lunch, you're kind of on your own. It's funny to me that Steve Bannon apparently was part of the group that was over there touring everything, and somebody apparently said to him, are you going to let the press keep our quarters where we are here? And he said, having seen it, yeah. Because it's not very glamorous, and he thought it was sort of, well, it's appropriate to how we feel about you. That's what you're going to get to keep.
Everybody who goes there has the same reaction. Like, it looks pretty nice on TV when they have those briefings, but, you know, it's seen better days. Look, the press needs to cover this president aggressively, but there's no secret that the coverage in the campaign and throughout the transition was heavily negative. A lot of the reviews of President Trump's speech were heavily negative. People said dark, angry. New York Times said angry Jeremiah. So I think that is going to exacerbate. And, you know, this president not shy about pushing back. He's not giving up that Twitter account. And Sean Spicer is going to be the guy on the front lines doing battle of these briefings. And so I expect a contentious, but in my more optimistic moments, I'll say perhaps a cordial relationship, but it's going to be contentious.
I was going to ask you, do you think, because obviously we'll see that first real briefing next week, and there's been a lot of back and forth, do you think it will continue to be combative, that there are these constant challenges you saw with President Trump when he was still president-elect, going back and forth with the CNN reporter? I mean, do you expect that there will be a truce at some point where both sides can say, we're both going to do our jobs, but we can find a peaceable way to do it? Or you say, no, that's just not the way it's going to work with this administration?
Let me give you a short answer. No, I don't expect a big truce. Both sides are pretty well dug in. I mean, I've talked to President Trump about this. He is convinced that he has gotten terribly unfair coverage. And let's face it, the press's reputation during the campaign suffered greatly in terms of credibility because this was the morning of November 8th, everybody was preparing for President Hillary Clinton. Well, she just got to go to the luncheon, and that was it. And at the same time, a lot of journalists feel that this president needs to be treated differently because he makes statements that they find to be exaggerated or untrue. And so the battle lines are drawn. And Trump has decided that he's going to go at the press, around the press, using his social media megaphone. And so I'm not expecting it to calm down anytime soon.
It's a different way of doing things. All right, Howard Kurtz, we'll see you on MediaBuzz tomorrow on Sunday.
We'll have a full show. Brett Baer is going to join us.
Excellent. We'll see you then.